We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I guess we could start by talking about the Batman because we've both seen it and it's been a few weeks and we haven't actually really debriefed on it.
Man, oh man. All right. So I loved it. Did you like
Yeah.
it? Did you
I
at least like it a
I
little?
as well loved it.
Thank you. I'm so glad. Now, of the most recent Batman films of the last 20 years, and that's the Christopher Nolan trilogy and this, right?
Yes.
I'm going live action.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at right here. Okay. The Dark Knight 1, The Batman 1A, then Batman Begins, and then Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I don't know what my order would be, but I tend to agree with you that the Batman is at least in the conversation with the Dark Knight.
I agree. 100%.
And I think on any given day I could sort of waffle as to which one actually is at the top. Depending on the vibe, because they're different movies, right? That's I think maybe the thing that I like. It's the thing that I liked most about Batman Begins when it first came out, kicking off that trilogy, that it was a different kind of Batman movie. And it's the same thing that I like about this Batman, is that it's different from any other Batman film that we've gotten, which is a tall order at this point, right? Because we've gotten so many.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I really appreciate about this Batman film is that, at least in the earliest iterations of the Christopher Nolan trilogy, but even still not so much, is that there's a focus on Batman being a detective. This isn't just him going out there beating the crap out of villains,
right,
and blah blah blah. And when I'm an orphan and I'm traumatized. This was a detective story, not to mention the fact that you also are seeing growth by him as a character, which we didn't even really get in the Christopher Nolan series.
Yeah,
he was just there.
I think there are a few things that I think are terribly interesting about the choices that Matt Reeves made in the way that he decided to go about this. I think it's so wild that we have a first iteration of a Batman film, including a younger Batman, and we still didn't really get an origin story for him.
Right.
We don't see how he got the car, and we don't see how he made the suit. He's definitely like in the middle of his efforts, right, at the beginning, which is, I think,
it's like year two,
right,
I think they said,
which is cool because he's like kind of already into it, but he's still obviously got a long way to go. I thought that also it was really interesting that he leaned so far into the detective stuff, which is something that has been missing from a lot of our Batman interpretations, right? And he, man, this is, I am real quick on this show to complain when a film goes on too long, and
you are about the timestamp Nazi.
Yeah, and here is a film that is like every bit of 3 hours, maybe just a minute or two short, and I just felt like there was not a single minute that was unnecessary. I felt like it was all exactly where it needed to be.
I agree. 100%.
I was never bored with it. Like the mystery part of it was so compelling, and I thought also it's really a film with eyes to the future. It's the most that we've ever gotten out of just the complex texture of Gotham City. So many important characters introduced, a higher emphasis on the organized crime in Gotham. And yeah, I just felt like it was just such an interesting and really smart way of establishing the franchise.
And I'll tell you what, man, John Turturro just continues to impress me as the decades go on because he just gets better and better and better. I mean,
Mm,
we previously saw him here on the Plotaholics in Do the Right Thing
yep.
as Tino, the older brother.
Yeah.
And he was really, he did very, very well in that. We've seen him in comedic roles alongside Adam Sandler, and he's always fun in that. But this time, this is the first time that he was actually kind of scary to me
Yeah.
as Carmine Falcone,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the connection, the connections that these characters have. Because another thing that you're really anti is everyone being connected with each other. Here's this big city, and
Yeah.
everyone is just connected to each other. But the way they did it in this film worked.
Yeah. I completely agree. And I mean, if I'm going to quibble with anything, it's I don't know how necessary the Catwoman connection was to Falcone, right? Like I mean, it was fine. It honestly didn't feel like they overplayed their hand or anything like that. It was fine. It was I don't know, but
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't
right.
forced. It was just a side plot, and it was what it was, just a side plot.
Yeah. Now I want to freaking dude, like can we have a moment for my girl and your girl? Freaking Zoe
Oh
Kravitz, dude.
man, Zoe Kravitz is just
Now she has
wow.
officially given Michelle Pfeiffer a run for her money.
Absolutely, and I haven't forgotten about Anne Hathaway. She just wasn't Catwoman to me at
No,
all.
I mean I didn't hate that iteration of
I
it.
didn't hate her, but I didn't like it either. I mean, it was there. This was more,
Yeah, I
hey, it's
feel like
Anne
there
Hathaway.
wasn't. Yeah, I feel like there was just not enough like
It wasn't
um
enough for me to care. There really
they
wasn't
didn't
enough for
like
me
give
to
me
care.
enough Catwoman in The Dark Knight, right? There was already too much going on, right?
She
And
just got
so
lost in the shuffle.
absolutely, yeah, I completely agree. But here, man, like they've just really taken their time, and I love that she's not a straight up villain. I also love that Penguin's not a straight up villain out of the gate. At least not a super villain. He's a bad guy, but he's not.
Yeah, he's a villain, but he's not. He's a mobster. That's it. He's
Right.
just a mobster.
Yeah.
Not like but I mean, and I'll tell you what, dude. Is it just me, or did you completely forget that that was Colin Farrell?
Yeah,
Because
like
that
the
was Colin
prosthetics are
freaking Farrell.
crazy. Yeah, that dude that they did a nice job with all of that, obviously. But yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's a mistake to go ahead and do the Joker in the next one. I like that we have a Joker in universe, but I don't think they should do a Joker story next.
I agree. Joker. No, let's focus on what you've already established. And if you're gonna do like a trilogy, or you're just gonna do the sequels that make it work,
Hmm.
then here's an idea. Why not the next film you start to focus on the rise of the Penguin,
Yeah.
and maybe have the Joker sort of like the Palpatine s character. Let the Riddler be your Vader,
Hmm.
and now Batman is dealing with the Penguin and maybe the Riddler, or the Penguin alone,
Yeah.
or some other villains.
I
Leave,
think.
like, save the Joker for later. Let Joker be
Well,
pulling the strings.
they have already said that there's an Arkham Asylum series that is going to be developed, where a lot of these characters can be explored. I think that this whole series, the Robert Pattinson Batman series, probably culminates in the Arkham Breakout, right? Where he has to sort of like round all these guys up again because they all get out for some like the long Halloween, right?
Oh,
Um,
that was such. Well, that's also how Bane discovered who Bruce Wayne was. I think that
right.
if you do that with the Joker,
Hmm.
that would be like, replace Bane with the Joker, because the Joker, he's Batman. No matter what, he is always Batman's greatest foe for
Yeah,
a
he's got
reason.
to be here eventually, and I just don't want him to be the central focus yet.
Right.
And I think that what would be really interesting, I like the idea of focusing on Penguin in the next one and Penguin's rise. And I think that it gives you an opportunity how we were able to focus on the families in this film. In the next film, you would have an opportunity to get into the academic side of things, which would give you a foothold into like a Mr. Freeze story or a Poison Ivy story, or
Yeah.
because now you can bring in all the doctors, right? And I think that because of the way that he's taking such a big world approach to the storytelling, I think that it's possible that you get out of the second film and you really do have that just lineup of you could pull anybody into this thing for the major villain in the next film.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really think though that like at the end of the day though, and this is why I think that a TV series is much better versed at telling these stories
Hmm.
because it's so much closer to the original media
Yeah,
that you can have a compelling storyline go for between 8 to 22 episodes. 8 if
yeah,
you're going the Marvel route, 22 for the network TV route. And then as your seasons progress, you can have the later seasons call back to and have those earlier seasons sort of set up the later you know what I mean?
yeah,
The problem with movies is that our what is the word what I'm our attention spans and memories are so short on certain things, and a lot of the times movies are so demanding. I'll tell you the truth though, what I would really like to see in these future films is, like I said, I want to see like a Joker build up, let him be the guy that's sort of pulling strings in the background, because that's what made Heath Ledger's Joker so good, is that we've got a time jump and he's been pulling strings behind the scenes.
yeah,
So that's what I would really really like to see. And I'm hoping now Matt Reeves, much the way that James Gunn seems to understand the DC side of things on the film aspect, and he's given us a new anti-hero and Peacemaker that no one knew or cared about before, and
yeah.
now he's like among the biggest things on the planet right now. I'm hoping that Matt Reeves can understand this aspect of the Batman and just make it work.
Yeah, here's hoping, right? I
Absolutely.
did you watch the Joker scene?
I did.
And what did
Yes.
you? I did not watch that. What did you think of that?
I'm not even gonna lie, man. I mean, honestly, I have to admit, for see, this is why I never refer to myself as a critic. I'm a
Hmm.
reviewer because I tend to like what I see.
Right.
And I'll tell you the truth, man. I was marking out for it because I love the fact that you don't see his face.
Yeah.
You just hear him. And I just love that combined laughter of Riddler and Joker. It was so good. It's like, because I always thought Riddler and Joker, and this is even from back in the 1960s Batman. It's like, wow, what's the difference between them? One is a clown and one wears question marks all over the place. But
Hmm.
as you get older and you get better storytelling and better understanding of said stories, you can see, look, they're both nuts, but they're nuts in completely different ways.
Yeah.
And that's why they're like a great combination. Like, I swear, if you really have the Joker and the Riddler combining their forces against Batman, he's not gonna have a good day. He's gonna need the Bat family to back him up because there's only but so much he can do.
Yeah, well, and I think that that could be a very interesting development as well, right? As the introduction, it's something that Christian Bale was never interested in. He always said that he would not be Batman if there was a Robin, but the idea that maybe Matt Reeves, who is adhering a little bit closer to the source material, might actually, uh, you know, give us a Nightwing.
I'll say this though, as well. Robert Pattinson. Now, when we first heard about this, and you remember, I told you, I said Robert Pattinson is going to be great
Yeah,
because
I
he
did
is a
too.
great actor. And you know what? He proved me so right. All of y'all out there that were, there were a couple people that sort of argued with me personally, behind the scenes, and they're like, Robert Pattinson says blah, 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 blah. Guess what? I, me, this guy told you so. I
I
have no qualms with saying I told you so.
I also loved the how physical some of those fights were.
It's
Like
almost like
he,
they took what they were starting to do with Bat Ben Batfleck,
yeah,
Ben Affleck's Batman, and just took it to a different level. And it was so good. It was
yeah,
so good. Who are you? Vengeance. That was so good. And shout out to the little cameo we had of the Tim Drake from Titans in the very, very beginning. He was the kid that had his face half painted at the very beginning. That was the kid. He
right.
plays Tim. He plays Tim Drake in Titans. Tim
Hmm.
Drake, of course, is the third Robin,
Ah,
and
okay,
he's actually among the more popular iterations of the character of Robin. He's the one that I appreciated. So Tim Drake came along after Jason Todd.
okay, yeah. I don't want to belabor the point too much
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
but
like
yeah,
yeah.
we were both big fans of the Batman. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.